September 20th, 1983. This is Joe Todd, an interview with Milton Joseph Burton. Mr. Burton, where were you born?
Platter, Oklahoma, down southwestern part of Bryan County.
Okay. What's the name of the town again?
Bryan County.
Okay, and the name of the town is Platter?
Platter, Platter.
Platter. When's your birthday?
January 29th, 1896.
1896. Who was your father?
I.G. Burton.
I.G. Burton.
Right here.
Was he from Oklahoma?
Yes.
What was your mother's name?
Joanne Giles, Giles.
Okay, where was she born?
Navajo, Tennessee.
Tennessee. And your father was born in Oklahoma?
And my father was born in Jackson, Tennessee.
Tennessee. How come your parents came to Oklahoma or Indian Territory? Do you know?
My grandfather on my mother's side moved to Platter, Oklahoma. I don't know when. My mother and father were married at Sherman, Texas.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what year. My sister was born August the 14th, 1894.
Mm-hmm. What kind of work did your father do?
Farmer.
Farmer. How big was the farm that he had at Platter?
At Platter.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know whether he's a farmer then or not. I don't remember.
Mm-hmm. Can you remember as a little boy what kind of chores you did around the house or around the farm?
No. No. We moved to Calera. Calera. I guess about 1892, somewhere along there.
Is that before you were born then they moved to Calera?
I was born before then. I remember I had 9 boys and 4 girls in the family.
Mm-hmm.
And I was the second oldest child in the family.
Yeah. Now what year did you move to Calera, you say?
Oh, I guess maybe, let's see,
Was it 1902?
it was a little before that time. I had a couple of brothers younger than I am. Are you recording now? Had 4 mules, and 2 of them, or maybe all 4 of them, went to the war, and you know, when Teddy Roosevelt was a Rough Rider in Cuba, that was in 1894 or 96. I can remember a little bit. I can remember my father was painting some wagon wheels out by a well. There's a dug well about 8 or 10 feet diameter. And I remember seeing him painted some wagon wheels red. Then he worked on the railroad 12 years, 85 cents a day, 10 hours a day. And then I remember he bought a couple of mares, and he farmed. I don't know what time of the year, but I remember he worked on the railroad, and I remember him going down he rode what they call a hand car, you know, to work. And then he quit that and bought a couple of mares and farmed. I remember 1907, when Oklahoma became a state, I remember that.
What was that day like, statehood day?
Huh?
Do you remember that day when we became a state?
Yes.
What was that day like? You know,
I was 11 years old at the time. I was 11 years old when.
Excuse me?
Come and stop.
What's that? Were there any big celebrations that day?
I don't remember. Oklahoma was divided in 2 parts, western Oklahoma and eastern Oklahoma. And they had what they called a wedding between the 2 parts of western and eastern Oklahoma. And it was Indian territory. Then we moved from Calera down to Atchlee. That's the first town in the state of Oklahoma that has the zip code, the Atchlee.
How do you spell that?
Achille.
How big is Ashland?
Well, at that time it was a very small town. But about be 1,000 people live there now.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Can you tell me anything about your experiences in World War One? What you did?
well, I registered, I think, on the 5th day of June. (1917), I believe it was. And then I was drafted into the service, and I went. I don't remember where we did our training, but I remember we went to Camp Dix, New Jersey, and we were there during the flu time. We had the flu, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Man, there sure was a lot of people. I know we've been out on the rifle range, and I had a little cold, and my nose is bleeding, started bleeding. And well, we were in barracks there, and it was just a lot of men died. They went down at the hospital, they just stacked them up like cordwood. Just so many of them. Then I rode a boat across the ocean. There's 16 boats in the convoy.
What was the name of the boat you were on?
Kaloa.
Taloa?
And there's 16 boats in the convoy. There was 2 submarine destroyers, 2 battleships, 12 troop boats, and the boat that I was in the center. And it took us 13 days to cross the Atlantic because we were zigzagging.
Mm-hmm. Do you see any submarines?
No, we didn't see any, but we had lookouts on, and I remember we had what they call fire drill, and they had me assigned to a raft out on the front of the boat, and I remember when first 3 or 4 nights I hung my hammock on the outside because I didn't want to be on that ship going down. If anything happened, I didn't want to be on the inside. So about the 4th night, it's so cold out there, I put my hammock where I was supposed to. There's 14 tables between me and the door going out to the front. I remember waking up one night, that 4th night or 5th night, somewhere along there. And so they told us if we heard the boat whistle 3 times, well, hit the deck. Well, I guess the first one aroused me. And I only heard it, whoo, whoo, whoo. And boy, I was squirrel wouldn't beat me across the top of those tables to that door. And they got there and they told him to shut the door, won't let him out. And there I was on the inside of that ship and it was going down. I knew it was going down. I didn't know what had happened. And so we went out. I remember I went down 2 flights of stairs and rods on each side of the stairway. And I just threw my arms and legs up on that and slid down to the bottom. An old boyfriend of mine was standing by me, and I untied my shoes because it had those big old hobnail shoes on. And I didn't want to be out there in that ocean floating around on those big heavy boots, shoes on. So I loosened those, and a buddy of mine, he said, Burton, I can't swim. I said, well, catch a hold of that raft and get you a handhold on that. And when they give the word for shove it off, why you hold on to it. And I guess there's a man standing way up on the second deck up above the water. And they lowered the boats down, the lifeboats halfway down to the water, full of men. And I don't want off that boat. I want to get off. They said those of us on the north side of the ship, which we were, and the wind was blowing from the north, that they would give the ship all the power it had, and of course it was run by propellers. They said, don't get back there, a propeller cut you in two. And he talked for about 30 minutes, and then he said, let them go back to their beds. It was just a change of course. You know, they had flashlights that they sent Morse code on that. And we landed at Liverpool, England. I don't know. I got a letter from the King of England, and I'd like to have that letter today.
How come he sent you a letter?
Well, he sent all of us a letter.
He did?
Gave all of us a letter.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, welcoming us on over there. And I got that the last 11th of November a year ago.
The Retired Officers Association.
Uh-huh.
What rank did you hold in World War I?
I was first class private.
Mm-hmm.
And then I saw King Alfred the Great statue, in bronze statue,
Mm-hmm.
in Commercy, England. And we went down to Southampton and crossed the English Channel over to Le Havre, France, I think it was. And I rode the Narragansett ship across that is a stock boat. They walked us in with those big packs on our back, and I was scared to death, afraid that the submarine had hit us. And I was way over, and there's a vent over half as big as this room. It went up through the ship there, and I worked my way over there and loosened my pack off my back, and I had 100 rounds of ammunition. And so I got to that vent, so if anything happened, I'd just go right up to the top of that ship. And it took us all night to cross the channel. I don't know. I walked the full length of that Moselle River in France, 310 miles in 17 days. And we were southwest of Metz, Germany. That was the best fortified city in the world. And I remember when the armistice signed at 11 o'clock, the 11th month, the 11th day, I was sitting down, leaning against a cottonwood tree. And so we had orders to charge on the 17th of November. We were supposed to go to Metz, France, but they had 10,000 French soldiers there, captured prisoners, and the United States government thought it'd be cheaper to kill them than it would to carry on the war through the winter. And then I walked to Koblenz, Germany. And I walked the banks of the Rhine River around 6 or 8 months. I learned a little German while I was there.
What unit were you in?
4th Division.
4th Division? Were you just a foot soldier, an infantryman, or what?
Yes, I was a private in the rear rank.
Were you in any major campaigns, major battles?
No, I missed that. I was subject to shell fire for 5 days. Some of our men that I was with got shot, but I missed it about 2 hours.
What were the trenches like?
Well, they were about a half wide as this room, about 6 feet deep or 7 feet deep.
What, about 4 feet wide?
I'd rather think they were 6 or 8 feet wide.
Okay. And about 6 feet deep?
Yes.
Were the sides of the trenches shorn up with anything? You have like boards over them or anything?
No.
Just dirt?
Just dirt.
How'd you keep the sides up when it rained?
It did rain. The Bible says it rained 40 days and nights, and I think it did while we was over there.
Did the trenches ever cave in during the rains?
No. arrived on the Rhine River, or about 10 or 12 miles from the Rhine River, a little place called Rieden, Germany. And I came back. We left Germany and came back to Brest, France, and I rode in those little box cars. They could haul 8 horses in there. Soldiers, there'd be 40 soldiers in that little box car. And so we came back up through Koblenz, Germany, and into Belgium, across to Belgium and back into France, and then across to Brest, France. And I rode the largest boat in the world, 900 feet long.
What was that?
It was a battleship, a German battleship, but they turned it into a troop boat. And we were on the 6th day it's coming back. But when I was going over, boy, I got seasick. I couldn't rest anyway on the laying flat of my back. If I raised my head up, I'd sure feed the fish. And coming back, I rode the Leviathan. And you find that in the Bible. Leviathan means monster of the deep.
Can you remember what you did on Armistice Day? Did all the soldiers celebrate?
No. We ran right on into Germany. We followed the German army. The German soldiers rode the trains, and we walked. No, we wasn't in celebration then. And I go now once a month to the First World War veterans. We have covered this luncheon down at Legion Hut.
What, here in Norman?
Yeah, the first Friday in each month. Here's something I got. One of the ladies at the auxiliary gave me. And then after I came back home from the war, I went to school to this. Actually, after the war was over, I lived 2.5 miles east of actually Oklahoma, and I started school in the 7th grade. I never was in the 6th grade. I started in the 7th grade the 5th day of February, 5th day of September, 1920.
Mm-hmm.
And I was in my 25th year. I had my birthday then in January. and I was 25 years old. I finished the 7th and 8th grade 1 year. Then I went up to Durant, Oklahoma, Southeastern State University. It's called Southeastern State University now.
Right.
It's known as a normal school. And we had, I think there's 1,100 people there. There's 3 buildings there. I worked as janitor for 6 years.
Who was head of the school at that time?
Henry Bennett.
What was he like?
Oh, he was about my size. They used to think that I was Dr. Bennett. I looked like him and walked like him. In 1921, I got my 8th grade diploma, and I remember they had us lying up on the stadium platform, whatever you want to call it. And I had me down at the end, and I was the last one to get the diploma, and I was a man. That house just roared when I got I remember Dr. Bennett said that I didn't know what it was all about. In 1924, I finished high school. In 1926, I finished what they called 2 years, a life certificate.
Mm-hmm.
And then I taught my first school. Dr. Bennett got me a job down at Roswell, Oklahoma. 1926.
Were you teaching down there?
Yeah, I taught there $75 a month.
What'd you teach?
I taught 7th and 8th grade.
Mm-hmm. Burton County?
Yeah, down south of Hayward. I taught 27 years in eastern Oklahoma. And going to school, I taught high school in 1945, I guess it was.
Mm-hmm.
And in 1945, we moved up to Miami, Oklahoma. And I didn't get to teach there in Miami. Lots of people call it Miami. In Miami, Florida, too. And then I taught at a little place called Wyandotte. And 1951, we moved down to Tahlequah. And 1951, 52, and 53, I went to George Peabody College in Nashville, Tennessee. And I got my master's degree in 1953, and I was 57 years old. And 1929, my wife, I met her. She stayed that's her picture up there.
Yeah.
And that's my wife and two daughters. They were all
Nurses?
RNs.
What was your wife's name?
Susie Burton, Susie Potter,
Where'd you meet her?
Durant, Oklahoma.
Durant? Was that where she was from?
No, she's originally from Arkansas.
Yeah.
Have you eaten this J.C. Potter sausage?
Yes, sir.
That's my wife's brother.
Okay.
He has a sausage plant down at Durant, Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm.
1957, I got my master's degree, and then we moved from Durant up to Miami, and then from Miami to Tahlequah. And then 54, we moved out on the Navajo reservation. There's my picture up there in my school, Indian school.
What was the name of the Indian school?
Navajo Indian School, Tonalea, Red Lake Trailer School, 100 miles north and east of Flagstaff, Arizona.
How come you moved out there?
Well, my wife was with the Department of Indian Health, and I was a teacher, and so I went out there and I got a job teaching those Indian children.
Mm-hmm.
They were beginners, and I think the youngest one was 5 years old, and the oldest, the girl, I've forgotten I've forgotten what her given name is.
How many students were in the school?
In the Indian school?
Yeah.
When I first started there, I only had 18.
Mm-hmm.
But in this picture up here, that's 4 years later.
How many students in the picture? About 25, 30?
No, it's 51.
Oh, 51.
And I taught an average. I had 85 enrolled the first 3 months in the school year. I had an average daily attendance of 51.
What do you teach the kids out there?
Well, we taught them with objects first. Started out because they couldn't speak English and I couldn't speak Navajo. But my job was to teach them English. And I taught 5 years at Tonalea, Arizona, or Red Lake Trailer School, they called it. It's a Quonset hut, just about twice as big as this room. Mm-hmm. And I taught there 5 years. Then my daughter came, she and her husband separated, and she came and wanted to come back. She came out there too. She and her husband separated. She came there and she got a job in the hospital at or some canyon across, and built a dam across the Colorado River. Page, Arizona. That is on the bank of the Colorado. And so in '59, I resigned, and when I came back to Oklahoma, we came here in '59 to stay at this motel right over here across the street here.
You came to Norman in 1959.
Yes.
Yeah.
And because when she graduated from the nurses' school in '54, and she wanted to come back here and go here. So we came here in '59.
Did you take basic training at Camp Logan, Texas?
No.
Down by Houston?
No.
Okay.
I guess most of the training I had was Camp Dix, New Jersey.
Yeah, okay.
I'll show you my daughter. And she flew over the Pacific, I don't know how many different times, but
And this is your daughter?
yes.
What's her name?
Carol. Karol. She was born in 1932.
Mm-hmm.
And the other one is 1937. She was born 1932, December the 20th. And the second daughter was born like 9 days, being 5 years difference in them. And the younger one was the 11th of December, 1937.
Yeah.
5 Louisiana for 17 years and 8 months. And wife had hardening of the arteries of the brain and threw her off the balance. In other words, she didn't know no difference between daylight and dark. And they brought her here, and I stayed with my younger daughter for about a year. Then I came over here and occupied a room over on the East Hall over there.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how many years ago, about 6 or 7 years ago, wife's sister came and stayed a couple of weeks with her, and I was working out in the garden. And they were crocheting, and so I told them I'd like to learn to crochet. This is my 82nd one I've made since I've been here.
Yeah. What do you do with them?
Well, I'll sell them. This one, the lady bought the yarn for me, and I make it for $30.
Mm-hmm.
But if I buy the yarn, it's 43 and a half.
Yeah.
Here's a song I learned that when I was going to school down Southeastern. There's a school that we call Southeastern, down south in the Red Chief land. There floats a golden blue o'er the heart so true in that royal savage land. Where you go or where you do, it is best to see the golden blue, and its glory be to STC, the school of the rising sun.
That's good. Remember any songs that you learned in the Army?
Well, yeah, it's in that.
Yeah.
It was in there where I had a lot of songs.
Mm-hmm.
The Yanks are coming. I've forgotten all the songs we did sing.
Yeah. Well, Mr. Burton, I think we have a good interview.
Then the 11th of last November,
Okay.
I went to the Shriners Circus up there, and the master of ceremonies was, I've forgotten, last April or somewhere along, I don't know how long ago it's been. There's a bunch of us went here, from here up to the Shriners Circle, and the master of ceremonies came up close to where I was, and I said, let me lead in the song, America the Beautiful. Oh, beautiful for space and sky, for amber sways of grain, for purple mountains' majesty, above the fluted plain. America, America, God shed His grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea.
That's very good.
And the first Monday in last month, I went down to cerebral palsy. They came after me, and I went down and gave the animal and bird calls. I can mock. I know quite a few bird calls or an animal call. Oh, 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 oh. You know what that is?
That's like a mule.
Donkey.
So,
And and there's a friend of mine, we go to church together, and he had a bird dog, and he'd go off and leave him in a pen, and he kept him in a pen all the time, and he'd cry for his master. He'd cry, and so he hears his master come in, and then he was crying for him, and so he went out the door and wagged his tail, and he was satisfied. You know what that is?
cat.
Yeah. I know there used to be a lady over here across the hall, and I was walking a cat, and she came out the door and looked up and down and said, Where's that cat? I hear a cat. And, woo, 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 woo. Woo, 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 woo. Well, what's this one? In the fall of the year, they go out, men go to ponds and they get the shotgun to go out early in the morning. And these birds come in to get water, or late in the evening. Dove. You know what that one is? Now, they roost in a circle, and they roost and with tail to tail, or in a circle. Then something comes along and bothers them from doing the night. Every bird flies in his direction. The next morning, he calls up this youngster, and he said, and that's a whippoorwill. Lark. I hear along in the summertime, I'd get bread and go out here and feed the birds. And I used to feed them right up here, but this air conditioner water run down there, there's a place about this wide out there. I walked across that and I threw the bread up here close to the window, and there was birds, all kinds of birds that come up here. And then they had a lawnmower, big lawnmower, and they make trenches out there and their water stand there.
Yeah.
And watch them sit here and watch them take a bath.
Yeah.
I used to, when we was living over on 1025, and see the birds, they have certain territory. And I heard a dove up or a couple of blocks away, or a block away, and I'd be working out in the garden, and I'd mock that dove, and he'd come and he'd light on a wire, and he'd look for me. And then I'd throw my voice over somewhere else, and he'd fly over there.
Yeah.
Then I remember I'd throw my voice up over the house. You know, he'd light off on top of the house looking for me.
Yeah.
He was going to try to run me off from his territory. Remember me.
Oh, I will. I want to thank you.
Our legislature's in session now, isn't it?
Yeah, they are.